I'm 38, considering divorcing my wife, 33, because of this past weekend. I am sharing on Reddit anonymously because I don't know who to discuss this problem with. My wife and I have been married for 7 years and have 3 kids. After the second child she had postpartum depression. It was so tough that it led to her having to leave her career and me taking on all financial responsibilities. I had recommended we try couples therapy, which totally backfired. Rather than focus on how we can improve, it was heavily focused on the initial root of the relationship, which included me dating multiple women when we first started. This was known but caused insecurity and a lack of trust at a core level. I understood the therapist's intent to get to the core of our relationship issues, but I felt the sessions were focused on my issues rather than our issues. Even my wife would say out loud when heading in, "Time for us to go find out how fucked up you are." I could laugh, but she operated like the weight of the relationship's issues were on me. So postpartum, my wife was sleeping in and I was feeding our kids, cleaning, and working, and spending an hour every 2 weeks getting torn apart by a therapist my wife was doing lit to support our relationship and our family. Okay, so that was 3 years ago. We made it through this bump by instilling date nights. Every week we have a babysitter and a date night. Also, we started having sex more. That genuinely helped. She still does not clean, cook, or help with chores, and these are small things, but it obviously continues to bother me. We had another kid a year and a half ago. Last week she realized she missed her period. On Saturday she took a pregnancy test, an old one we had lying around, and it showed a faint line. She still went out for drinks that night with friends. We were like, shit, you might be pregnant. Hooray? Mostly hooray? Kind of anxiety inducing. Sunday morning I buy her 2 new pregnancy tests. I went out for it. I think that's an important note. I was the one that bought them and was anxious about it. She does it. The line shows up stronger. Crazy. She is pregnant. She had plans for brunch. Noon. She doesn't cancel. She goes out and drinks the whole time and does not come home until dinner time, smashed on martinis. Without me, BTW. I am watching the kids. She's maybe 4 or 5 weeks pregnant. Who knows? I've been working in an office since Tuesday. But on Monday, she told me she was scared. I told her that's fair, I am scared, too. But we will make it work. Then we had dinner last night and she was giving me shit the whole time about how mad she is that she's pregnant. She wasn't on birth control. We did not plan for this. But I think rather than just directly say let's get an abortion, she's just casually trying to cause a miscarriage. I have kind of evolved from being upset to being kind of furious and started reaching out to divorce lawyers today while at work. Do you recommend a divorce? Edit. Too many replies. 2 key points. First, I was not cheating on my now wife when the relationship started. I was dating multiple women at the start of our relationship, and she was also seeing another man. We met in our 20s and we were actively on dating apps at the same time. We committed after 6 months of hooking up. I think that piece is being misunderstood by many responders. And second, I do not regret having unprotected sex. I will triple down and never apologize for that. We have sex. We are married. It's usually unprotected. This is a decision we both made. A child can happen because of unprotected sex. We are both adults and have had multiple kids. We are well aware of that. We had another kid after the postpartum depression 3 years ago. We know how having children works. It doesn't mean we were trying. It also doesn't mean we were not trying. We've talked about having up to 5 kids in the past. As recently as when the 3rd was born. She went off birth control in January. It relates to her mood and that's her choice to do so. I wasn't consulted about the decision, but I was informed she was off it. Additionally, many people's anger at us makes me feel my anger was more than justified. We talked tonight. We are likely going to get an abortion, but right now we're working through it and she said she will stop drinking and apologized. We did not even talk divorce. Thank you for those that offered legitimate advice and didn't just attack. I am trying to wrap my mind because how did either of you two think it was a good idea to have a 3rd child when she's still not really over her PPD? But also now the damage is done again and she seems in denial. She wasn't on birth control, we didn't plan for this. If you don't use any form of birth control, this isn't an oopsie baby. Why are you all still bringing kids into this fucked up relationship? 3 are more than enough. She might get post-PSRTUM after the 4th one again. Have you all discussed a possible abortion? If it stays like that, you will do chores for a 4th kid. Sleepless nights plus a full-time job? My guy, good luck. FFS, communicate about the abortion possibility before she gives the kid FAS. I enjoyed you saying, crazy, when you found out she was pregnant. You are 38, not using birth control and she is pregnant. Wow, that's crazy. If her PPD was that bad after your 2nd kid, you shouldn't have had the 3rd one and she should definitely get an abortion this time. Also, condoms exist, so this isn't entirely on her not being on birth control. I'm not sure if divorce would help or make your situation worse in this case, but one or both you should consider a permanent solution for birth control, sterilization for fuck's sake. Poor kids. My 43 male, wife, 43 female, says son not taking to her will end marriage. My 43 wife, 43 female, has said that our adult child 19 refusal to come home or speak to her will end our marriage. The son was admitted to a very prestigious school, and from the day he got in she was rather cruel, saying things like he didn't deserve it and was taking someone's spot. Granted, the kid made mistakes, but he put in the work, and when he didn't give her credit she was offended. Once he was dropped of at school he went no contact with her, and because of this she forbade either I or his brothers to speak with him, which then caused him to have a relationship with his grandparents. Which in turn made it worse because she does not speak to her mother and does not get along with mine. So now my son has come home due to medical issues and will be here until at least January. He refused to come home and instead went to stay with one of his grandmothers. This caused his mother to wish death upon both his grandmothers because they assisted him in getting home. She has essentially blamed me for him not coming home or talking to her and has stated it is the nail in the coffin for our marriage because I didn't fight for her and force him to come home. The last time they saw each other was Thanksgiving and she slapped him because she didn't like something he said. I feel like she is having an extreme response and maybe some mental health issues. I'm on the verge of calling it quits. Is there any recourse here? Why would you let someone treat your kid that way? Whether she's his mother or stepmother, it's unclear to me. She's horrible. It sounds like she is the shitty common denominator in all of these situations. Sometimes abusive and narcissistic people freak out when the subject of their control is no longer under their control. It sounds like this has been a long pattern that you have not been seeing. It sounds like your son has been dealing with this for a very long time and is finally over it. Your wife has a clear history of just cutting people off around her when she doesn't like what they have to say or do. Your wife has probably always been pretty terrible towards him, but now it's just more obvious because it's harder for her to hide. She's losing her mind because her scapegoat is now gone. You should end your marriage. You're showing your son that you're not on his side at all. Grow a backbone. Your wife is a terrible, terrible person. You're married to an abuser who abuses your kid and you. This isn't mental health. It's because she's an abuser. End the relationship. Rebuild your relationship with your child. Get into therapy. Take accountability for enabling abuse. You probably ought to let that woman go. My 26F boyfriend, 26M, admitted to something terrifying. How to respond. He was talking to a friend on the phone and I heard him laugh about what he did when he was 16. He apparently bullied another kid so hard in the 10th grade that the kid opted out. You know what I mean, he opted out of being alive. The problem is, he was laughing about it with his friend. I overheard him say, "That was a fun year, I wish I could do it all over again." He wasn't laughing about what the kid did so much as the stuff he pulled, including robbing him. I'm wondering if this is a red flag in terms of the fact that he obviously isn't that way now, but he looks fondly upon that year. This is sociopathic behavior. We all do stupid shit as kids, but something like this should hurt your soul. Break up with him. I'm wondering if this is a red flag. Yes, about the biggest one someone can wave. In terms of the fact that he obviously isn't that way now. Yes, he is. Just read your next sentence. He looks fondly upon that year. He looks fondly on driving someone to kill themselves. You need to run away at the fastest possible speed you can. As in, by the time you're done reading this sentence, send a breakup text if you are a safe distance away from him. If you aren't, get away, then send the text, or ghost him. I don't care, get away from this monster. If he responds with threats of any manner, report it to the police. You're wondering if it's a red flag? Did you have part of your brain removed? Yeah? Your boyfriend is a boss with no moral compass or regret. What other evidence do you need? Your boyfriend laughed about driving someone to suicide and called it a fun year he wishes he could relive. That's fucked up. People who genuinely changed don't laugh about their victims or feel nostalgic about tormenting someone to death. The same capacity for cruelty is still there, just waiting for the right circumstances. This should scare the hell out of you. My boyfriend laughed about contributing to the death of someone. What should I do? Reddit. Thinking face. Sigh. I, 29F, am selling my home. Do I give my boyfriend, 35 male, equity? I'm selling a home that I solely own, my name only on the mortgage and deed, that I bought while my boyfriend and I were newly dating, and expect to net about $50,000. This was a VA loan from my service, so I didn't put any money down. For the past 22 months, my boyfriend lived with me and paid an average of $905 per month in rent. My total monthly expenses for the home were around $2,300, so I was still covering a large portion myself. There was no written or verbal agreement that they were building equity. That said, I do want to be fair. But I feel as if he was paying me far less than he should have been in the first place. He has expressed that he wanted a share of equity or at least a portion of what he paid back. I feel like I should pay him to keep the peace, but how much? Update. Whoa, was not expecting this much feedback. I've read through majority of it and I need to add context. We live with my son, 50% of the time. Boyfriend had an entire room to himself in the house. He did split home repairs with me when we had them, not much but there were a few. My loan had $233K left on it and my net proceeds will be about $50K. My entire monthly payment to live here was average $2,300 to include all utilities. He paid $905 flat. We split groceries for the most part, but when we go out to eat he pays 95% of the time. We are buying a new house together, again, another VA loan, so no down payment is required. This is a house that we must split 50-50 so I can afford my share. He makes about $110K more than me. And he owns a home he purchased before we started dating that he rents now and profits a few hundred from each month. Hopefully that adds a little more light to the situation. Renting does not and never will imply any equity. You owe your boyfriend nothing as he could have simply left without recourse at any time of his choosing. You, however, took all the risk. 100% of the equity belongs to you. He paid to live somewhere, you don't build equity in rent. Lol. And him even asking is a huge red flag. Seriously, get a clue. If you were thinking about marriage, I'd think again. He's clearly the greedy type. Of course he wants some of the money. If you're handing out free money, can I have some too? Seriously though, you don't owe him a dime. I've been paying my landlord's mortgage for the past 9 years. Do I get equity in the house? No, I do not and neither does he. He's just being greedy. You don't get rent back. He's taking advantage of you. No, you gave him a great deal on below market rent. He is not entitled to any equity and you should not feel guilty about that. You were wise to purchase that house and deserve the benefits of that decision. He's renting, not paying into equity. You don't get rent back.